Hi, this is Em, and today I'm doing an experiment. I want to know how this Jacquard decolorant, and I've had it for a while and I've only used it a few times on some fabric, and it did work on the one I used was like cotton muslin type fabrics that had been dyed, and it worked okay, but today I want to find out what it does on paper. For example, here's some of that handmade type paper with a texture in it, but the color is, I don't know, it's a little bit, for some projects, it's a little bit almost too much, and so I wanted to see if there's something that we could do to make it more exciting and usable for what I use it for, which is cards and tags and journals and stuff like that, where I want something more than this. And I've got another one that I've already tested, and I'll show you that in a minute, but let's talk a quick second about what this is. Like I say, I've had it for a while. The bottle's already starting to cave in, as things tend to do after they kind of sat. It's called deColourant by Jacquard, and it is a, let me get the, it is a ready-to-use printing paste for removing areas of color from dyed natural fabrics such as cotton, linen, silk, and wool. Unlike bleach, decolorant removes color without jeopardizing the integrity of the fiber. And so I want to know, will it work on paper, and specifically this kind of paper? Then I'm going to read the directions because the bottle's kind of concaved in, or you can fast forward if you don't want to hear me. Apply with a brush, stamp, sponge applicator, stencil, or screen print. Allow to dry. Then iron on the highest setting suited for the fabric type. For extra color removal, iron with steam. A heat gun may also be used, especially if the print is still damp. Color will leave at this stage. After color removal, wash fabric with synthropol or a mild detergent to return to natural softness. Note, when removing dye from the fabric, the resulting color may not always be white. Some dyes are more susceptible to color removal than others. Test samples are recommended. When I did it on the fabric, the couple of the tests that I did, it was, the colors were kind of deeper shades of blues and greens and stuff like that, and it took the color out and made it more of a kind of a lightish tannish brown tone. So no, I wouldn't expect things to go white. I have some of these, let me show you. I have some of these. You can use a stencil or anything, but what I'm testing for today is I'm just going to use this tulip. It's kind of a spongy material. I think I got these at the thrift shop, and that's what I'm going to use today for testing. But I think a stencil and all that for overall, if I wanted to change the texture of the whole piece of paper, once we know how this turns out, or I show you how this turns out, then it opens up all kinds of possibilities for doing a stencil. What I do is I take the decolorant, and I didn't stir it or anything, and like I say, the one I'll show you in a minute is fine. And then I take one of these pads. Again, I got these from the store. It's just, I use these a lot. They're just cosmetic wedges. I use them for ink and all that. So let's dip it in. What this reminds me of, the smell, it reminds me of hair dye. If anybody who dyes their hair or has ever dyed anybody's hair or been to a hair salon where they're dyeing people's hair, this is what it reminds me of. It's not super stinky, but there is an odor if you get, if you sniff into it. So I'm just making sure that this sponge stencil, or not stencil, but stamp absorbs it. And then because I don't want, see, I got a little bit too much there up in here. Let me see if I have a toothpick or something that I can take the colorant or the decolorant out with. And I always take way more time doing something than I need to. All right, let's lay it down. Okay, all right. Very good. You see that? Now I'm going to turn the camera off and wait for it to dry. And then we'll iron that. And in the meantime, I'm going to run up and go ahead and wash this in water. Same with this sponge, because I don't want it to dry on there or infect it ruin the integrity of this material. Hi, I'm back. While we're waiting for the stamp that we just did to dry, I went up and got some stencils, and I've got another one I'm going to do off camera on another piece of paper, but I wanted to show you, I got a bigger sponge dauber for this, because I just think it would be more warranted, and I'm just going to gently stick it in there and just coat the surface gently, and then see if I can dab it on. See how that goes. This wanted to come up here when I first it wanted to lift, the stencil did. That's why I'm using my finger to hold it down. This is a plastic kind of a stencil. I don't think I would use it on something that wasn't plasticky right now. I'm not sure. I've got some cardboard paper stencils. I don't know if I would use it with that. Now, interesting, see, it's discoloring the stencil. Gently tapping. I got my head tilted at an angle, and it just looked like a couple of these areas hadn't gotten it good. Now it does look like it's gotten down on the paper. All right. Okay. I got a little bit on here that I didn't really want to, but you know what? As long as we're playing, let's make it look like I'm doing something on purpose. Just do some random playing around. If we don't like it, well, we've lived and learned, huh? Here I'm doing a stencil, and I'm using a larger brush, and I'm just sticking the very bottom of the brush into the decolorant, wiping the excess off on the rim, and then going down. You kind of hold the stencil down a little bit as you're doing this. I'm rolling a little bit so it doesn't make a suction and try to pull a stencil off, and by rolling I find that helps to not make so much suction with the stencil. Hi, I'm back. This is the paper that we did some stenciling and stamping on, and then this is one that I did also. And what's interesting, and I'll be curious to see how it irons out, is that on this one you can still see, and it's all dry now, but you see how you can see the stamping on it? You can still see some ghosting. Whereas on this one, I can't see anything. And so different papers may react differently. And we'll see how that works out. Now I've got this is my old desktop ironing board, piece of Teflon, and then I'm going to iron it on this white paper underneath and put a piece of white paper on top. I don't know why I'm going to do it that way, but I just am. And then the iron is hot, so let's see what happens to this one first. Let's see if we get anything at all. And so because I can't see I can't see any residual from the decolorant, I don't know which side I put that tulip stamp on and which side I did the stencil. So I'll just iron the whole thing and let's hope something happens. Okay, let me lift up and see if I see anything at all. Ooh, did you get a glimpse of that? Ooh, yes, something's going on. So, oh, this is exciting. All right. We'll do the reveal. It doesn't really seem to take very long, and I can actually see it through the paper. I don't know if you can see it through the paper, but I can see it through this white paper. Okay. I'm giddy. I'm giddy that it's working. Look at that. Ah, it's upside down. Let's turn it around. Ah, isn't that just... Look at that. I love it. And what's really cool about the paper is you see how even there's some modeling in here. There's still some kind of stained glass effect. And here's this one. That's where I just daubered. Just did the dauber effect. Okay. Let's do this red one here, which I used a stencil for a more broader scale pattern. I had this set at wool. I would say between wool and cotton would probably be good. I mean, obviously if you're using a cotton muslin or something to do this, then set it at cotton, but this is, I have this on wool right now. Ooh, okay. I need to iron up here more. This isn't showing up yet. So hopefully this will help. Yeah, that did. I just didn't get the iron up there. Okay, now let's reveal and see what we have. Oh my goodness. Oh, isn't that gorgeous? That's just beautiful. And then here's the one that I did earlier before I started filming. That was one of those foam stamps, and it's a corner type border tulip. Isn't that beautiful? Now, off camera, I did, here's some other paper. This was on the super big sheets. I cut a piece off. And then I stamped on these. And what I wanted to test is, I stamped on this one on the back because it's smoother. And then this side is very rough textured. And I don't know if you can tell. This one I stamped on the rough textured side. So let's find out what happens, if anything. I'm going to iron, I think I'm going to iron on the smooth side, and then we can always turn it over. Now this would be really nice because, again, these colors are a little bit more potent than for some of the things that I use for, so it would be nice if this works even on the rougher texture. And I used a stencil with a stencil brush, or a foam stencil brush, that larger one. I got a peek. You gotta wait for the reveal. I get to peek. Well, this one's going to be like a blob, which I'm not surprised because, like I say, I did it on the real textured side. Peek at this one. Okay, I think this one's going to turn out better. Okay, let's take a look. There, yeah. So it worked. Now let's see if it goes through to the textured side, because if you want to use... No, see, I was hoping that it would show through to the textured side. So it works fine on the smooth side. This one was done on the textured side. Huh. Well, what's my feeling on this? That doing this on a lot of texture is not going to give you a crisp outcome like it does on this smooth paper. That's just more of a blob. This one, where I did it on the back, is much more distinctive. So if you want to use the smooth side, great. But if you want to use the textured side, then it's not coming all the way through in all the areas. It is a little bit over here. See, but not a lot. Not like it is here. What might be interesting to do is if you have a really dark paper that you're not overly enamored with the color, see, you could use it to change the color and just maybe dab on and make it more mottled, which is probably what I'll do with this, is take and finish off the rest of this paper, make it more mottled, and then that way I can rip it and use it as an, an element in something for embellishing. And then this one, I'm not sure how I'll use it yet. Maybe I'll do the same thing, just, run a roller or something over it and get the higher surfaces to change color, and then use it that way. So I think there's possibilities for here. It's just going to be a matter of playing around to achieve something that you like, and at least we know that it did decolorize the paper, and now it's just a matter of figuring out what you want to do. Hopefully you found this interesting. Thank you for tuning in, and you have a wonderful day.